What's up YouTube? My name is Uncle Smokey, and this is Uncle Smokey's Stock Trades. And before I start this video, I would like to say, I am not a financial advisor, and this is not financial advice. So please take what I say with a grain of salt, and do your own DD. Today we're going to talk about ticker symbol MMAT, Metamaterials Inc. We're going to break down the TA. We're going to go through the options chain. We're going to look at both Ortex and Fintel. We're going to take a look at the new Ape Wisdom sign. It's not really new, but it's new to us. And of course, we've got a little bit of news. And at the end of the video, my prediction for tomorrow. All right, so let's go ahead and crack into the TA. Today we opened up the day at $5.72. We hit a low of $5.48, a high of $5.81, and closed the day out at $5.78, up 1% on the day, on kind of low volume. It's actually closer towards the volume we've been used to in the recent past, right around 11.2 million. However, it's not quite the volume we've seen in the last couple of days. We're getting a little bit more used to the 30, 20 million range. It's nice to see that kind of volume, but unfortunately, it's not going to happen every single day. Not like we want it to, but that's all right. So today, the stock did some wonky trading, as Sterling would say. A little bit of crazy stuff. So we opened up with an immediate drop. Now, I did say that this thing may go as low as $5.50. It absolutely did. In fact, it did make a bounce of $5.50. Yes, I see that it did tap $5.48, but you always have to keep in mind that when a buy and sell order goes through, it takes time for it to actually register. And that's basically what that is right there. It's your registering point, and then buyers picking up and shooting it right back up into the candlestick. This is a shadow or a tail. This is the actual candle up in here. So when I say it bounced off 550, I'm going off the physical candle that opened up on $5.50, creating its bounce point. And it did. And it ran all the way up to 565, where I said it's going to bounce off of probably a couple times before it tries to go again. And it absolutely did everything I said it would do, with the exception of making a second major dip down into here at the first half of the day. But no big deal. I'll take that any day of the week. Now, let me explain a little bit of this price action to you. So, obviously, most obvious, this very opening dip, this was a massive short attack, very first thing in the day. But luckily, we had buyers step in. They stepped right in, and they started pushing it straight up. It flagged for a second, and then unfortunately broke back down. Now, you're going to notice that it traded with the VWAP quite a bit today. Every time it lifts up over the VWAP, you're going to see it trade up a little bit, and then it's going to pull back. Now, the VWAP is something that day traders and swing traders will trade off of. It's a very, very powerful tool, and I've said that in the past. And you can actually see how you can trade off of the VWAP on this stock, and you can do it on many, many, many stocks. And that's for the people out there who like to do a little bit of day trading and swing trading. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. I have no problem with anybody who wants to go ahead and progress their position by day trading and swing trading. Not all stocks are easy and good to do that with, but this is a great pattern that you can work with if you wanted to look to see how it works. So I'm going to explain it really quick. What you're looking for is the U-shaped breakout pattern. Now, this is taught to me by John London at Beginner Trading, a beginning trader on YouTube. I watch him every single morning. I listen to his morning show. I've learned a lot of my scalping and day trading strategies from him, and I'm going to share it with you as well right now. So as you see, it dropped down below the VWAP, okay? And then it tested we'll call it a support or resistance level. I don't have a line here, but 555 is a support and resistance level. I always tell you 5s and 10s. That's one of them. And it pushed back up. Now, it bounced off the VWAP here and rejected, so there's not a day trader in the world who would have jumped in on this. However, when it bounced off of the VWAP, this is a great spot for shorts to come in. And that's exactly what you see here, another short attack. So you've got short attack 1. This is a day trade movement here, short attack 2. And then you've got some buyers step in. You've got amount. Now, this wouldn't have been much of anything. Some people may have lost a little money here. And then, again, a test of the VWAP, almost a double bottom there. and then back up. And every time it crosses over, you're going to see it has a confirmation candle right on top of the VWAP. This is the buy. They buy in, they ride it up a little bit to a key level of resistance, they sell. That's how a day trader works. So buy in at the VWAP, key level of resistance, sell off. That's what you saw today, a lot of it. Until here. This is for some reason when a lot of buyers picked up. Now, it got all the way up to here, and I think I know what it was. Kind of a not really buy the hype, sell the news, but yes, kind of. So you had the meeting for Congress come up, and the Senate. They passed that bill, which we're going to get into a little bit later. So this all ran up here, and then this looks like right around the time it may have all started, like their hearings and stuff. I'm not sure. I'm at work all day. I cannot stay on top of it. I just know that everything did pass through. But you're going to notice that there was major sell-offs and short attacks through this entire period, all the way through until about the 1 o'clock hour. Now, this is your lunch hour, okay? But I think there was something a little bit more to this. And I do believe it has to do with the meeting that happened with the Senate. Now, it does look like that once that was over and everything went through, we basically just bounced back right off the 560 line, great level of support, and shot right back up to a 1% finish. I did call out yesterday, if we go bear, I saw us finishing slightly green. There it is, slightly green. And that's, again, the stock's not trading the way it used to back in the day. It's trading like a completely different beast. A beast that wants to be traded up. It wants to go up. It doesn't deserve to be down in these low levels. And yes, I talk about a stock having a personality. I absolutely do that because they do. All of these stocks have their own special personality. And again, that's one of the reasons why I don't compare stocks with other stocks, because each one is individual. So, we've talked about this for a really long time. I think you guys might have learned something about the VWAP today, and that's fantastic. Let's go over to our 30-minute time scale and take a look at this real quick. So, as I always say, when in doubt, zoom out. We can zoom out right here and see that we are doing absolutely fantastic. On the 30-minute time scale, we are so far out there, it's unreal. Over the course of the last month, month and a half, we'll call it a month, we're up over 100% from where we were at our bottom of $2.80, way down here. Look at that. We are doing absolutely fine, guys. There is nothing to worry about here. Nothing to see here. Nothing at all. Now, I do want to go ahead and show you that we are staying over our ascending line here. This is basically a level of support, an ascending level of support. I want to see the stock stay above. We did have a slight breakout below it today, and we had some wicked trading today. Really, we did. But again, we bounced back above it in the last half of the day, coming up here, finishing out green, and still in the after hours trading above it, holding tight to the VWAP. Also come down here, look at our histogram, look at our MACD. MACD staying above the signal line. Again, this is on the 1 hour chart. MACD staying above the signal line. We've got a green bar, and the bars are getting slightly larger. Okay, slightly larger. And the RSI is currently hooking down on the 1 hour, but it does, that is because we're currently in a little bit of a red zone in the after hours. Don't worry about that. We always take the after hours with a grain of salt. Let's move over to the 1 day, basically just confirming everything we've already said. Looking a little bit better here. RSI is hooking up. Your histogram is still green, but you're going to notice that it's a slightly smaller green bar right now. And that's because we've had a red day and then a day not so great. It pulled way back before it lifted up. And also, a great time for me to show you guys what a hammer looks like. That's a hammer candle. Hammer candles, when they're green, are very, very bullish. And that's going to come to the prediction a little bit later. But again, this and this also shows bullish indicators as well. Just because this is getting smaller doesn't mean it's going to keep getting smaller. A little bit of volume pushes in. We have a bigger green day. It gets big again. And that's going to cover all of that. Let's go into the options chain. So, with a low volume day, we're going to see low volume options. We had 10,800 calls traded. We had 2,300 puts traded. The IV is currently sitting at 140%. This is, let me do some quick math in my head, 80% calls, 20% puts. And it's still a very bullish signal because your calls are outweighing your puts. Now, always keep this in mind, and I've said this before, just because that there's 10,800 calls doesn't mean that they bought 10,800 calls. That is how many calls were traded today. Overall, options traded today were 13,174. Again, we're going to be coming up on close to the expiration. I don't suggest people jumping into options for the October 15th strike at the expiration at this point in time, unless you know what you're doing and you know how to read volatility spikes and you know how to work the delta and all of that good stuff. I would not suggest anybody getting into them, again, unless you know what you're doing. For October 15th expiration, you're coming close to expire, which means theta is going to really start kicking in. The stock's going to start losing money very fast. The options call will start losing money very fast, not the stock. So just keep that in mind when I tell you expiration's close. You're within 2 weeks after Friday, and it's going to really start pumping. All right. Moving on. Let's go to the good old intranet. So here we go. Vortex for today. Let's hit refresh. Refresh. Okay, nothing really changed there. It's kind of staying up to date on my computer. All right, so all right, cool. They got an update. Average number of days on loan is currently sitting at 22 days. That means we bumped up a little bit from yesterday, or the day before that, I should say, which is great. That's fantastic for us, not for the shorts. I keep looking over here. I look at the microphone. Camera's over here. So anyway, you're seeing that they returned about 3.81% of their shares today. And I'm going to be willing to bet that was on the two big run-ups we've seen. However, they also borrowed quite a bit. So when you see this, before you go jumping, oh my God, they returned 4%. Look over here first. Return shares versus borrowed shares. So your return shares are almost 6 million, your borrowed shares are 4 million. So they were borrowing just as many as they're returning. Almost. Obviously, they did return a few more than they borrowed, and that's really not that big of a deal because, as I have said many times over, just because it shows that this many are on loan doesn't mean that there's that many that are actually shorted into the market. They borrow them, they hold them, they sit on them. These hedge funds can pay these fees, these short borrow fees, to keep the stock. They don't need to short it. But what it does for them is when they go and re-enter it back into the brokerages, it creates panic. Because when you see that happen, when young traders see that happen, what happens is they panic and they start selling too. They try to follow the smart money. Okay, so that is why they do that. They hold the shares so they can reintroduce them to the brokerages to scare people. They don't always short all of them into the stock, into the market. So just always keep that in mind. Just because you're seeing this change doesn't mean that it's shorts piling their shares back in. And you can tell that as the days on loan keep growing, utilization keeps growing back up, and it's going to fluctuate here and there when we have really big green days, things like that. So with that being said, let's keep pushing on through the data. Current max cost to borrow is at 14%. The current rolling average is about 10.5%, which we can confirm right up here. And estimated short interest is 31.6 million, which is about 13.66% of the free float. So this gives you a little bit more of a story. When you look down here, it does show that some of the shorts have been returning, but it's still not that big of a deal. You're still very high up there on the short interest percent of free float. But again, I will stress, I really don't care about any of that. I really don't. I don't think we're ready for a short squeeze. I'm going to say it until I'm blue in the face. I'm going to say it until we're in the teens. Once we're in the teens, I'm going to start saying, come on, short squeeze. But right now, I want to get to the teens. I want to get over 7. I want to blast through 7, 8, 9, and 10. Get into 11 and 12. Then we'll start talking. Those are more comfortable ranges for me. 11 is closer to where the merger happened. I know it shows 21 on the thing, but it was 11. I think it was 1140 something or other. I can't remember. But that's where I want to see us get. We've got a lot of gap to fill up. And until we fill that gap, we don't have the stability at those higher levels to bounce again once the squeeze happens, So that's the main reason why I keep saying I don't want to squeeze. I'm not ready for it. And neither are you guys. You just don't know it yet. So let's move on to Fintel. This video might be a little longer than the last couple days. It's a little earlier. All right, go all the way up to the top and hit refresh. Nothing's going to change. It didn't. Again, they're showing a slightly different story, but every one of these are going to be a little different. So you got 1 day to cover. Their short interest is roughly the same. All right, sorry, I had to take a quick break there. My dog was whining. So they got 1 day to cover. Their short interest still is on par with Ortex at 10.5%. Now the short squeeze score, it keeps bouncing up and down. Right now we're at 84.28 out of 100. We're number 59 out of 5509 stocks that are on the short squeeze score list. There are currently 300,000 shares available to be lent from a leading prime brokerage. Now, this morning, there was about 1 million shares available to be lent. And I told you last night, guys, there was 1.5 million shares available, and they were going to be gobbled up quick. At one point in the day, they got it all the way down to 150,000 shares available. Expect for the utilization right over here to go up a little bit tomorrow. I would almost count on it. Scroll down here, short borrow fee rate. Now, this is, of course, intraday. This is the moving number. It's at 8.27. And here's our short sale volume. The FINRA, which is the dark pools, is showing, of course, a little over half of our volume for the day. For some reason, it's allowed. They're allowed to short. They're allowed to sell over half of the volume in dark pools, in a place that the retail investor cannot see. We can't see what's going on. We don't know the lot sizes, nothing. We know nothing about any of it. All we have to do is just hope that there's no hanky crap going on, and that's happening. You know what's happening. What happens behind closed doors? Nobody knows. So anyway, done being a freak about that. We've got 3,271,000 short shares or short volume from the dark pools. That is 51% of the volume from the dark pool was short volume. The CBOE is showing almost 1 million in short volume, which is pretty high. And the PSXBX is showing 65,000. Combined total of 7,770,000, which is 54% of the volume traded through these exchanges. Now, always keep this in mind. This is not every single exchange, which means all of these other exchanges do have shorts as well. And they're not reported through here. We don't know what they are. However, NASDAQ is through these guys, so we can kind of gather all of those numbers between Ortex and through Fintel and kind of gauge it through there, and that's why we use them as a gauge. Lastly, I want to cover on this page is our FTD information has updated. So, as we know, this is already old data. If you want to know how you can look at FTDs, go look at the show. The SHO, it's right on the SEC.gov website. In fact, let's go to it. All right. So here is the Division of Market Regulation. This is basically the show. You could go to the SEC.gov. You can look this up. This will explain to you how FTDs are calculated, what they are, what qualifies to become an FTD, how the hedge funds and market makers and brokerages and all those other things have to count for their FTDs, what does and doesn't qualify. I mean, they break this down to the letter. And that's no joke. And you're going to find out that there's a lot of things in here that you may not have known. And that's why I don't concentrate on FTD data too much, because if you actually read this, you're going to find out a lot of information that I know I'm going to hear a lot of things about. I know I'm going to hear it. But FTDs aren't that important, my opinion. Because, and you'll find out in this column, they can be kicked down the road. The SEC has basically worked it out so that the hedge funds and market makers have a lot of time to make up for these FTDs. So I don't want anybody to think that I don't believe in FTDs, because I do. I know they're there, but they're useless. They don't have to do anything with them until Marge gets called. That's it. They don't have to do anything. They've got all these other little entities that they can push all that stuff over to. Like, hey, no, I got the shares over here. They're right here. They're in this small cap fund that I've got sitting over here. And even though these are allocated for somebody else, I don't have to show you that. But I've got them right here. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. Hey, look over here. You know, that's what's happening. Okay? So, if you wanted to go through and read this, I've stated this before many times. That's what that is. It's the show document. Now, let's keep moving on. Yeah, you're seeing our future news. Short sale transactions. We've got a worksheet that we do this on. This is for the 29th, and there is a lot of them. 561 transactions yesterday for a total of 1,200,000 shares shorted into the market. This is transactions over $5,000 only for a grand total of $7,353,386. Holy crap. I just want to let you all know that our inflow and outflow was right around, I want to say, 25 million. That's like a third of it. Holy Jesus. A third of our total volume was shorted, and that's only transactions over $5,000. That does not include any of the small time shorters, the individuals that short. And that's stuff that you and I could do, which we don't. We don't short this stock, but it's just an example. All right, that's the FTD stuff. Oh, last thing I want to say about FTD data. They're aggregate, not cumulative. Please do not add these numbers together. That's not how that works. This is the last number of FTDs in the 2-week period that this is reported from. This is the number of FTDs. They show you this to show you every single day's totals. Okay, in fact, Ortex actually shows us a little bit better. Let me find it. There. It shows you that the FTDs get smaller or larger because every day it's a new number. Every day is what was the day before's numbers plus the current day. Okay? All right. Next thing I want to talk about, institutional owners. So there was nothing really new today as far as I could tell so far. We're refreshing just to check. Nothing new today so far. I did point these out earlier. However, this I didn't see on there. PXI Invesco DWA Energy Momentum ETF. This is an ETF. I'm right over here. Here they are. They've got 405,114 shares for a grand total of $1.5 million. Welcome to the team, guys. Holy crap with your 500,000 shares. Jesus, Pete. Anybody else got 500,000 shares? That's huge. Huge. Yeah, I don't think they're shorters either, by the way. This is an ETF. Lastly, the news. All right, so here's what we're going to talk about. Biden signs temporary funding bill to prevent government shutdown. Basically stating that they put a temporary short-term appropriations bill that will keep the government running through December 3rd. So they had till midnight tonight to get this done, and they took care of it. So no worries, right? Wrong. This is only temporary. They've got until December 3rd to hash some things out. I think they approved like $1.5 trillion. They needed like $3 trillion or something like that. So they're going to have to pull money from this thing that they want to allocate it to put it to this thing that they want to allocate. It's going to be a back and forth thing, and there's going to be a whole lot of votes, and it's long. Anyway, so I just wanted to cover that. That could have been the really strong reason on why we saw a big bounce happen there at the middle of the day area right in here. This is a very good possibility. Basically, the sentiment changed of the day. Okay? So, let's get on to our prediction. All right, before we do our prediction, I forgot one other thing. Obviously, this is an edit point, if you can't tell. I want to hop over here to the internet, and I want to show you this is our Ape Wisdom site. We did move way, way back on the Ape Wisdom scale, but that's all right. The fact that we're still even on this scale is absolutely amazing. That means Wall Street Bets is kind of looking at us in a small fashion. It doesn't mean that we're on the top of their radar, but that's okay. Anytime Wall Street Bets gets a hold of something, that means the eyes are really coming onto the stock, and you could start to expect to see some investors pouring in. But that also means that we're on the radar of other people as well, not necessarily the ones we want to be on the radar of. That means short positions are also looking at us too, knowing that more eyes are coming to the stock. You'll also notice that on here, there's a few other really cool stocks that are right here near us. I've been invested in Microvision for a long time. This is actually in my retirement portfolio. All right, back to our prediction. All right, let's start with our prediction now. So I'm going to start out with a bear prediction just because it's been what we've been doing lately, and we're going to stick with it for now. So if we open up in the $5.80 channel to $5.70 channel, which is 5 cents either way up or down from where we closed, or a few cents either way up or down from where we closed, here's what I would see. First, if we go bear, I would expect an immediate drop to $5.60, probably pushing past that to our 550 mark again, making that a catch point. Now, if it doesn't catch here, expect 545 to really slow it down. You do not want it to go any lower than that because 535, which is a distance away, is your next strongest level of support. If it starts getting down here, it could get a little scary. You might see some selling off. You might see some of the younger investors, some of the ones that got in at the 280, 350 mark, wanting to let off their position a little bit, try and lighten their load. That would not be a bit surprising. So just keep that in mind, especially coming into a Friday. Friday is the loosen up the capital day. That's the day that most people do release their positions. The short day traders, the short swing traders, those guys will lay their positions off on Fridays. So just keep that in mind that if we see a dip and if it pushes past 550, 535 needs to be the catch because, I mean, lower than that, it's scary. You're going to start seeing people wanting to move on. And I'm not talking about the diamond hands. I'm talking about the paper hands that just don't understand where this stock could potentially be. Now, once we've traveled down to the 550 range and we've bounced off the 550 range, expect to test back to 560, 565, trending in this channel for a little while moving back up towards the $5.75 channel towards the end of the day. Again, finishing close to green, maybe a little red, maybe a little green, right in this area. In this area. That's what I would expect for it on our bear prediction. I hope I didn't scare anybody with this whole what happens at 535. It's not detrimental. It's just paper hands. It just happens. This is a critical level down here. All right, so if we go bull, which I'm really hoping for, no guarantees. It is Friday. We know what happens on Fridays. Day traders, swing traders, all that good jazz. They like to get out of the stock. And they do that across the board. It's not our stock. It's every stock. So we go bull. I see an immediate test of 585, bouncing off of that real quick, going to 590. We'll probably plow through 590 pretty quick and go right back to $6. $6 is going to show up as an extreme level of resistance. We bounced off it a couple times before. Not only is it a true level of resistance, it's a psychological level of resistance. If we can crack through $6, and of course with good volume, we will, expect 610 to be the next serious level of resistance. Again, we've bounced off of it a couple of times, and it's going to act as it has before. If we can mount 610 tomorrow with enough volume, and we're talking we need to get back up into the upper 20s, 30 millions, maybe even 40 million in volume to make all of this happen on a Friday. If we can get this up into the 610 range, expect for us to easily move to 620, looking for 625 to 635, and then 640. 640 being our very next level of resistance. Again, we know that beyond that, we have got this $6.55 mark, which has been a double tapper for us so far. Every time we tap 655, we push down dramatically. We need to mount this. If we can get above 655 and hold, goodbye. That's it. I think that would be the ticker. I think that would start shooting us up in the right direction. With that being said, that's all I got for you today. Wait, well, hang on. I didn't say where I think we would end. Slow down, Smokey. I don't think we're going to get quite this high tomorrow. I do think that 640 would be our true bounce point if we would come down off of that, probably trading back below 635 to close the day on my bull prediction. With that being said, like, subscribe, make sure you comment for the algorithms. Do what you got to do. Make sure you're sharing this video with your friends and family so that we can get the word of Meta out to everybody. Also, make sure that you're sending Sterling your love. I don't know if he's put a video out as of yet. He might have had his girlfriend do it. I don't really know. But as soon as he can get back up and running, I know he's going to. He's very excited to get back to us Metaholics and Meta heads alike. Peace.